right, good afternoon, everyone. I think we're all connected and online this afternoon, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Robin Dolby, and I'm the From Atlantic, Kansas Marketing Coordinator here at the Kansas Department of Agriculture. So many of you may already be familiar with the From Atlantic, Kansas program. We are the state's trademark program designed to promote and celebrate agricultural experiences and products that are grown and raised and produced here in our great state. So we also, though, are the central registration for Kansas farmers markets. And as such, we do work to promote farmers markets, but also provide educational opportunities such as our webinars today. And we also work in partnership with K-State Research and Extension for the farmers market workshops you guys may have also participated in that were held here in January, February, and March. So with that, I would like to introduce my two other teammates. Sammy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you, Robin. We're glad you're all with us today. My name is Sammy Gleason, and I am our From Land to Kansas Program Manager here within the Kansas Department of Ag. So looking forward to some conversation today. Thank you.
Jen.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen Hill. I am the membership coordinator for the From the Land of Kansas program, and one of my duties that I do is I actually onboard all the farmers markets that apply to be part of the central registration for farmers markets. So I've likely at some point, if you're a market manager, emailed back and forth with you on occasion.
Thank you, Jen. And Jen, I might ask if some point here you could bring up the essential registration link and just type it in the chat. If your market is not registered with us, Jen will put that link in there for you to register with us. And then also, if it's been a while, if it's been a year since you've updated your market information with us, I would encourage you to reach out to us and make sure your information's up to date. Lori did that this morning, so we appreciate that. That way we can help promote you and making sure that we're promoting you with all the accurate information. So, all right, with that, I will do a couple of housekeeping items. Um, this session is being recorded and we will post it on our website. We recorded the one last week as well, and I will have both of those up on our website by the end of the week. If you guys have a question at any time, please feel free to type it in the chat or use the raised hand feature, and we'll call on you to ask your question live. So now I'd like to go ahead and introduce our panelists for today. We have two with us, Lori Bruce, she is with the El Dorado Farmers Market, and Mary Tyler, she is with the Breadbasket Farmers Market out of Topeka. So with that, if we could start with you, Lori, would you mind giving a brief introduction of yourself and tell us a little bit about your market?
Okay, yes, I am Lori Bruce. I'm the owner of Bruce's Bullseye Farms. My focus with our farm is value-added food production, so I do own and operate my own commercial kitchen. And then I am the El Dorado Farm and Art Market Manager. And this will be my third year being the manager, and I'm learning something new all the time, so it's very exciting. So I'm actually located about 20 miles from El Dorado, but I really, really enjoy that market.
Perfect, thank you. Mary, would you mind introducing yourself and your market?
Sure. I'm Mary Tyler. I'm with Breadbasket Farmers Market. We're in Topeka, Kansas, right off of Wanamaker. So this will be our fourth season. We are a newer market. Our market is 100% local grown, locally crafted. If you do not make it or grow it, you do not get to sell at our market. I also run a food pantry called Breadbasket Food Pantry. And I run a bakery that is called Can You Say Oh Yum, spelled with a K. So, and this will be my 13th season being at a farmer's market.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary. I know you both are very busy ladies, so we appreciate your time today very much. So I've got 5 questions that I'd like to ask you guys, and then after that, we'll open it up for other questions that the audience may have, and kind of just have a discussion. So the first question I'm kind of starting with the hard one, I think, maybe. So the first question I'm going to ask, and maybe I can start with you, Lori, is what is one thing you wish you had known before you became a market manager?
I would have liked to have known about all the resources available, all the programs that are available to farmers markets, and I'm still learning. I mean, I'm learning new things all the time, and I'll touch on that later in some of your other questions.
Thank you. Mary, anything to add to that?
No, I would agree. I wish I knew more about, I do a lot of social media, but I mean, there's always kinks to it, and somebody grabbed a hold of my account last year yeah, it was difficult trying to get through that, and we'll talk about more problem solving later,
Okay.
but that
I
was,
was gonna say, yeah.
that was a doozy. So yeah, I'm just I kind of got thrown into being a market manager. I did not ask for it, but, I'm grateful for it. So.
Good, thank you. Um, and when we did have registration, we had asked if anybody had any comments or questions, and so a couple of these were created based on those questions. So, and this next one is, what are some ways you've recruited vendors? Mary, could you start?
Sure. So I do a lot of Facebook, Instagram. Those are my two social media posts that I do. And I promote very much that we're 100% local. There are a lot of markets that are not, and people do not like that. Customers do not like it. So I promote it a lot in the fact that we are 100% local. What you get at our market was grown within 100 miles of our market. Everything is locally grown, and it brings a lot of growers. It brings a lot of customers in because they like to support their local friends. I do social media posts, I mean, 3 and 4, 5 times a week during open season. So just to kind of keep people engaged. And then I post pictures of vendors that I know are going to be there, of the things that are coming and that kind of thing. And people do seem to like that.
So I'm going to do a follow-up with that. Do you have like an application process, or how do you vet vendors?
I do have an application, yes. We run a website. I have a really good team of board of directors. And my treasurer is also my web guy. So he he updates our website from time to time. I do have a registration form, and I ask everybody. So the first year we were open, because we were small, I told my customers and vendors, I said, if you get me growers, I will give you $50 to bring me a grower in. And, $50 is $50, in your gas tank. But and it did help. It did help bring people in.
Okay, good. Lori, what about you? What are some ways you've recruited vendors? And if you could also talk a little bit about, I know you've got an application process as well.
Sure. So with the El Dorado Farmers and Art Market, I was actually just a vendor 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know how many years, but it was just a very small market. But I just saw a lot of potential in El Dorado. I mean, we were lucky to maybe get 12 vendors, and we were at a small park in El Dorado, and it was basically the gateway to El Dorado Lake. And so I spoke with the individual that was, part of the El Dorado team, and I said, hey, if you ever need help recruiting vendors, I would love to be able to help you, because I am also a vendor at the Kansas Grown Market and the Old Town Farm and Art Market. I said, I just see so much potential because we are a Sunday market. We're not a Saturday market. So we're not competing with those markets either. And very next year, I think she's the assistant city manager now, Tabitha, she messaged me and she said, Javen left. Can you just help get our market, kind of maybe help take our market over? And I said, sure, I would love to. So to recruit vendors my first year, again, this is going to be my third year, I simply reached out to those previous year vendors, to give them a fair chance, to let them know, there were some changes. But I took the opportunity of myself being a vendor to see, like, what did I like about the markets? What did I not like about markets? And I basically hand recruited. I went, if I had help at a market, say at Kansas Grown, I just went and I was getting familiar with all the vendors. I'm like, hey, we got this market in El Dorado. It's going to be on Sundays. And I had a lot of vendors that were interested because, if they don't get rid of their stuff on Saturday, sometimes they still have stuff left on Sunday. And so I had some people that really believed in me and what I wanted to do with it. And the very first week that I started, we had, 25 vendors maybe, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for the park that we were at and the traffic, she said, you've already outgrown your space. We're going to have to move park. So we moved to a better park with more parking the second market, and we just continue to grow from there. And so that's basically how I recruit vendors, is I handpick them. We do have we do have it online. So the city of El Dorado, they have their own Facebook page. And so I work with them. And in fact, Olivia, I've never met her in person. She's going to be somebody that helps me with the marketing this year. And she put the application. So we do weed through the applicants. We're trying to get a little bit more, I want to say strict, but not strict. We want to try to get more in line with, you need a sales tax number. You need to make sure what you're producing is in Kansas. And, we've done pretty good so far, but, there's been a little bit of a resistance, and I'll talk about some of those problems later. But so really that's how we recruited vendors, is online through social media, the city of El Dorado. Then we get, once we get the application, we read through them and, see, do I want to talk about this now or not? But I'll talk about that in the problem section, but it's also not a problem either. But we have just some other creative ways of how we, I guess, recruit vendors, but we don't oversaturate the market either. So that is appealing to vendors. So if you're doing, say, leather work, right now we have no leather vendors. We're not going to do any more than probably one or two. So that's another appeal for recruiting vendors, is word of mouth is great. So we take care of our vendors, they take care of us. And we have one vendor that drives for 2 hours on Sundays to come to our market, because it's not oversaturated, and often their sales are better at our market than other markets, just because we do have built that relationship. And since our vendors want to return, they're recruiting other vendors, because we've already got several new applicants. We hadn't really posted much, but because of word of mouth, because we are taking care of our vendors, we are ensuring, we're not going to have any more than 3 baked good vendors, things like that. So, we handpick, but we also let our vendors keep them happy, and they're recruiting other vendors as well. So it just kind of all comes full circle the way that we're doing it.
It does. Wow. So what's your number at now? You said, was it in the 20s of vendors?
Oh, no. So that was
No.
the first year. Second year, so the first year that I took over, 20s, we hit like a high of 40. And then just a second, my jelly timer. And then the second year, minimum was in our 30s, and we hit a high of 52. And then this year, our applications are coming in pretty fast and furious. So I would anticipate, if the trend continues, I would say minimum we're going to have 40 upwards vendors on those Sundays, and hopefully more, because again, we'll talk about some activities and events we're having to try to bring people into. But hopefully the trend continues, that we're adding 10 to 20 or more vendors each year that are not
Wow.
duplicates.
Yeah, that's impressive, and that they're willing to drive 2 hours. So good deal. So on the flip side of that, we talked about vendor recruitment. So now I'd like to ask you guys, consumer recruitment. How do you guys promote your markets, whether that's, paper, online, via social media, whatever? And then also kind of what programs do you use? Do you use design programs, interns, or helpers? What kind of resources do you utilize to do the promotions? So Mary, could I start with you? How do you promote your market, and what tools do you use?
Sure. So I am fortunate. My husband owns one of those big printers. So he makes all of my banners for me and yard signs. So we have yard signs and banners out all over the place, just letting people know farmers market Saturday, and some of them have the time, some of them do not, but our logo is out there. That is a big push. I do TV. I am on both TV stations from time to time. In my spare time, I go in there and sit, do interviews with them. I had some of the programs, a big program that's a huge success for us at our market. We call it Kids at the Market. And what that is, I went out and got donation dollars from locals, and the kids come, they're ages 5 to 12, and I give them 5 $1 kid bucks. And then they go, for example, during cantaloupe season, and I tell them, I'm going to give these to you, but then you have to come back and tell me what you learned about this cantaloupe, because a lot of them don't even know, So I have a pork vendor, and it was really cute. Last summer, he made these little pig hats for the little kiddos. And they, so when they came up to him and they asked him, where does bacon come from? They didn't even know. And I did not limit it just to fruits and vegetables, but it had to be somewhat good for you food, right? And so he gave him a whole speech about his pigs and where the bacon comes from and how the bacon is processed and all of that stuff. This little girl comes back to me. She has a little pig hat on, right? She comes back to me and she is so happy. I know where bacon comes from. I know where bacon comes from. So, but then, and we do that once a month and it's $5, but the kids, they get to go. And if you follow us on Facebook, it's Breadbasket Farmers Market on Facebook. I post those little cute pictures of those kiddos. And that it brings a lot of people in. We also do senior nutrition. The first year I doubled them. I don't have funding this year to double them, but I have the lady from senior nutrition here in Topeka. She comes to my market and actually hands out the senior nutrition vouchers, which is a big draw. I do sunflower days. So Sunflower Health Plan comes and they give out health vouchers to those that have sunflower. And then I double those vouchers for them. Again, all donation dollars. And then my church gives me enough donations that during the month of August, I give each low income family an additional $25 in tokens one time. So they come to the market and they have to prove to me whether they have SNAP or they have WIC. If they come and just show me their card, I don't take anything off of their card. I just simply hand them a little baggie of 25 yellow tokens. And again, every yellow token is a donation dollar. And my big push is we triple SNAP dollars at our market. That's made possible by generous local people that gave me donations to make that possible. So yeah, we have a lot of things going. So
Yeah, it sounds like your key is a lot of community engagement, community support with
very much so.
sponsorships. Wow, great. Lori, can I ask you, how do you promote your market and what are some of the tools that you use to be able to do that, to do the marketing?
Sure. Yeah. Social media is huge. Facebook. And again, we have amazing vendors and they promote our market for us. They want people to know that they're there. And so we take care of our vendors. They help take care of us. There are also signs placed all around El Dorado. I'm pushing for feathered flags along the park this year. So I'm hoping that I get them. So, just to let people know where we're at, because we're on a pretty busy street in El Dorado as people either entering or leaving El Dorado. So they see the tents set up at the park. Another way that we promote is we just let people know that, this market runs from 10 to 2 on Sundays. This is a great place to come after church, before church, or if you don't go to church, whatever, because we have 2 playgrounds at this park. It's very well shaded. So even in August, it does not seem super hot. We have a shelter house where you can sit with picnic tables. So the way we promote the market is this isn't just a market where you come and shop. This is a market that is family friendly. You can linger, you can hang out. And then when we talk about the activities a little bit, we'll talk about ways that we recruit people to get there. But we've also, last year, we did add the SNAP benefits. It was a little bit slow getting started because it was hard, I guess, educating like what they were. We had some interns who were great and they didn't quite understand. And I was working my booth and the El Dorado booth. But by the end of the season, people understood more about the SNAP benefits and we got more people coming, and we made these cards that went to every booth that could take SNAP benefits. So when somebody saw that, they're like, oh, I can use the SNAP card here. This year, we're going to be adding double up food bucks. We also have handouts that we give. So since I'm in Wichita at 2 locations every weekend, I can start advertising now to consumers like, hey, if you want a Sunday market, come to El Dorado. This is what we have. Bring your family, bring your kids, bring your grandkids. And we just make it more than a market. We make it a fun place to come on Sundays and relax in a nice shaded park that's got a pond.
Which is a perfect segue into actually the next question. Lori, you and I have had a lot of discussions before about the activities that you guys do. And I know Mary, you touched a little bit on it too. So I'm going to ask you guys to elaborate a little bit. So the question was, have you ever added activities to your farmers market? And if so, did you see a direct result, an increase in attendance or sales based upon those activities? So Lori, could you talk about a couple of those activities that you've done?
Sure. So last year we did a kids day to start the market off with, which we're going to do this year. we were very limited on funds. So it's like, okay, what can we do that's kind of almost free? So we had some vendors that were willing to offer like a kid activity or kid craft. We found a local pumpkin patch that brought inflatables for free. We had another lady that her mom was a vet, but they raised goats, so she brought baby goats. And we just tried to make it a very fun, family friendly activity. And it was very busy with shoppers. It was very busy with kids. And we just made it a fun atmosphere. We had yard games that the city of El Dorado had. So we did it on a very limited budget last year, which, you know, we may be working with the same budget this year, but it worked last year. So we will actually be meeting as a team here in just a week or two. And we're going to talk about what activities, because, you know, maybe they've got some great ideas for this year as well. So that was one that we did that was very profitable for everybody and very well attended. And then also we did in August, we did the Dog Days of Summer, and we focused on pets. So we recruited like the Andover Dog Training Center, and he brought a couple of his dogs and he got some connections. We let people bring their pets. We've never said no pets at the park. I mean, it's a public place, so I don't even know what the city policy is on pets, but because we specifically invited pets, there were so many people that showed up with their dogs. So I encourage vendors, hey, put some water out by your tent. And we just tried to find vendors we tried to encourage our vendors to make something pet related. So like our wood engraver, she made Christmas ornaments, and she advertised that she could do customized ornaments based on what your pet breed was. So our vendors got into it because they could trade, you know, they could add an item that they normally don't do and gear it toward the pets. Same with our kids' day. So like we only allow 2 cup vendors, so they were able to create kids cups specifically for kids' days. But we are adding some more activities and events this year, and we're excited and hopeful. I'm gonna throw out the third one just because it's very successful too. We do a kid entrepreneurship day where we set the kids up in one area, and we only charge them a $5 fee instead of a regular $20 fee, because for one, they need to learn entrepreneurship and it costs, but they get to take their receipt and we give them like a $5 gift in kind. So they don't know that till the end, but you know, that tends to bring people out too. And, you know, that gets some conversations going on social media, like, oh, my kids would be great at this. Okay, we'll apply. And so those are 3 that were very successful last year, but we're adding a couple of new events this year that we hope are going to just make that even better.
Are you willing to share what some of those ideas are for your new events?
Sure. Yeah, I'm excited. I just didn't want to take up too much time. You know, and some of it is, I don't want to call it stealing. I want to call it innovating. So one of the big events at the Kansas Grown Market is Tomato Fest, and it's like all things tomatoes, and vendors like do things with tomatoes. So that's one that I attend. Well, I wanted to change it up a little bit and call it Produce Fest. So we'll come up with some ideas, like maybe who can grow the biggest squash, or who can, you know, or maybe we just have some fried squash available for samples or something. We'll be meeting here in a week or two, but we're going to do a produce fest because that's really what drives a farmer's market is the produce that is brought to the market. So we're going to recognize that and try to really bring an awareness of what produce is grown in season, you know, because even this time of the year, even when I'm at the Wichita markets, nevertheless, somebody's going to come by. Do you know anybody that's got cantaloupe today? Not this time of the year. So part of it's going to hopefully, you know, calling it Produce Fest, we can focus on all the produce that's in our local area. And I envision maybe having some handouts that talk about our produce vendors and what's in season and when they can expect it, because our Produce Fest is going to be July 13th. So that's right around when the corn's being harvested, or right there shortly after, just depends when it comes ripe. And then just letting them know what they can expect. So we're going to do that. And then I've talked them into adding a date. We are every other Sunday market. And so I wanted to do an October event, and we're going to call it Booze, B-O-O-S, Brews, B-R-E-W-S, and Barbecue, Booze, Brews, and Barbecue. So we're going to encourage people to bring their kids dressed in Halloween costumes so they can trick or treat at our vendors. Brews, we're going to invite all of the wineries, distilleries, and breweries in Butler County, and maybe a little bit closer to see if they want to set up and offer some sampling so they can advertise their event. And then Barbecue, our food truck trailer. I'd like to have a barbecue competition, but I also want to take care of our food truck guy. I don't want him to be out any food sales, and he does offer like a barbecue. He has a rotating menu. It may be just like, hey, Tony, can you bring barbecue as your menu this week? So that's something we'll also discuss in April, because again, I want to take care of my vendors. I don't want him to be out any sales. I mean, I'd love to have a barbecue competition, but he's been with us you know, he was a vendor before I was even a vendor at El Dorado, and then I took it over and I've kept him and he's local. So I want to keep him happy. So it just may be that barbecue piece comes like Tony's menu this week is barbecue instead of hamburger. So we'll have to figure out that last piece. We just don't want to step on our vendors' toes when we offer these activities either.
Absolutely, yes, I agree. Mary, you touched on some activities. Have there been some other activities you've done? And how have you kind of seen the direct results of those?
I try to do an activity once a month, at least once a month. I do also do young entrepreneurs. I charge my young entrepreneurs $15, but my and I have the little section that's coned off just for them, and they have balloons on their canopies and tables and whatnot. So I tell my people when they come, look for the balloons. Those are the young entrepreneurs, just to kind of, so people know where they are. That is always a big hit. We do a Father's Day. Last year we did a Father's Day basket. The vendors that wanted to, I went around and asked them, do you want to, I have gift certificates. Do you want to give a gift certificate from your booth? I'll put it in the basket, and then we do a name drawing. So last year's basket was worth $550 that my vendors donated. And then it all went to one dad. And then I took a picture of that dad with his kids and put it on my Facebook. That was a huge hit. Mother's Day is a little more difficult because it's still cold, ish. Sometimes I do try to give away flower plants to moms on Mother's Day weekend. Easter, we do a Easter egg hunt. If it falls, which this year it will fall during market season. We do Easter eggs that day. So yeah, we do something every month. We have a special activity. And when I advertise that it's special, what we're doing that coming Saturday, it does really, really bring people. And I have a vendor of mine who has a goat farm. She calls it a funny farm, but she has goats and pigs and horses and all kinds of things. So, and she does a petting zoo. So we're going to have a petting zoo this year. I'm pretty excited about that one. People don't know that yet. So don't go telling my customers. I don't know what date that will be, but probably sometime in April, because she's just having all these cute little baby goats. I mean, who doesn't like cute little baby goats? So, yeah, those are some of the big ones that I do. I try to do something special every week. It gets a little much to try to come up with something new every week, but for sure, once a month, we do something special. That's not just a normal, great farmers market weekend, which is awesome, but
That's so fun. Oh, okay. So not to now go from a fun topic to a not so fun topic, but I've got one more specific question for you guys, and then those of you in the audience, be prepared. If you've got a question, after this next question, we'll open it up. So you can type your questions in the chat, or you can use the raise hand feature and we'll get your questions answered. So the last question that I have is, tell us about a problem you've had, whether that's dealing with a vendor, a general logistics that just don't happen the way they should, weather challenges, any kind of problem that you've had and how you've had to navigate it, and what the solution was. Would either of you like to volunteer for that question first?
I'll go first. I don't mind.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like Lori has amazing vendors as well, but I mean, we are like a family at our market. And I had, I mean, my vendors are just great, absolutely great. But I had one vendor that came, and they all know my board. So when my board shows up at the market, I make sure that all of the vendors know who my board is. And my treasurer is retired Marine. So he walks in and he's there, you know what I'm saying? So so I had one vendor that would go around and was just for lack of a better word, not staying in his lane. And I had customers and vendors alike come to me and say, he just keeps on coming over here. Can you tell him to stay in his booth? Well, my vendors, they go back and forth. They like to chit chat with each other and whatnot, but it was too much. So I went over to him and I had a conversation, several weeks. It went on and on and on. So I went over to him and I just said, I really need you to stay in your booth. I've got customers that are paying attention and vendors paying attention, and they don't like it. Just stay in your booth. And he didn't heed my warning. So I brought my treasurer in, and I just pulled him aside and I said, we're going to have a conversation about this. Too many people are coming to me, and it's not what we do at our market. So I had a conversation with him. Everything was calm. There was no craziness. And at the end, when I got finished saying what I wanted to say, I said, do you have any questions for me? And he said, no. I said, do you understand what I'm saying? He said, yes. And it was that smooth. And the problem was resolved. So, I mean, yeah, I can't brag enough about my vendors and my customers alike. If they have a problem, I think if you professionally handle them, yes, some of them are not that easy. I get that. But that was one of my few problems. I don't have a lot of problems, thank the Lord. Hopefully I won't this year again. But I try to be their friend first. I try to take care of them. And then professionally, we are professionals. It's a privilege to be at our market, not a right.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Lori, do you have, could you share with us any challenges that you've had and how you've been able to overcome them?
Yeah, I like that you use challenges instead of problems. So yeah, we do. I mean, we do have a few, but I don't know how to best explain it. It seems like maybe trying to get vendors to maybe obey the rules. Sometimes you've had longtime vendors places, and we try to educate them like, we're a growing market. We're now registered with the state of Kansas. We really need you to get a sales tax number. And this is how you get the sales tax number. Not that we're trying to kick you out the market, not that we're trying to, have big government over you, but just trying to explain to them how to be in compliance. Because I feel like if you take the initiative to have a booth that tells me you have your own business, how can we help make your business better? And, it's just maybe trying to follow some of the rules as far as, producing food. And so that's, I guess, maybe one of our bigger challenges. You get vendors or maybe especially new applicants, they're like, I don't need a sales tax number. Well, do you do more than 4 events in a year? Yes. Well, I don't sell very much. Well, you still have to have a sales tax number. We're turning your name into that. And some people, they understand, and some just kind of get irritated. So just trying to make it
Are
like,
they eggs that you bought from Brittany? Okay, I was like, hopefully they're. That's what that is. Ah, gotcha.
sorry, don't know where that came from.
I don't either. I was trying to figure that out anyway.
Yeah. So anyhow, so that was, that's kind of one problem, is just, it's more our new vendors, not the seasoned vendors, but just trying to bring them in, that we're not picking on you. We want to make sure that if somebody comes by, you're in compliance with our market. And then I guess our second one wouldn't really be from the vendors themselves, because we do have a great bit of vendors. There's going to be issues every now and then, but we try to just be very I don't know, very calm, and just try to get them, to let them know we're not picking on them by any means. But the second one would be social media. If, customers show up and they have this certain set of expectations and you're not meeting their expectations, the first thing they go is they just go and they're very negative on social media about it. So the biggest one would be, there's no produce at this market. Don't waste your time going to this market. And so that's one reason we do not start our market till the end of June. We don't know what Kansas weather is going to be like. Are we going to have any produce at the 1st of June, or is it going to be at the end of June? Pretty safe bet we'll have some produce by the end of June. So we've pushed it back to the end of June. So that way because El Dorado is a pretty small town, words, and it takes just a few people being disgruntled and saying, we're not ever going to that market because you don't have produce. So that's just a challenge that we have to deal with, is social media. But we tried to overcome that by just changing the date. We still have some challenges because it is a Sunday. And so we do get feedback probably at least once a month. Oh, I can't believe they're having it on a Sunday. Sunday's a church day. And that's when we just say, oh, well, we'd love for you to come to church or we would like for you to come to church or after church, we run until 2:00. And so we try to overcome, the negativity. You're just not going to make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time. And we realize that. But if we do see those social media posts, we try to counteract that. Something I heard the other day, I was at a meeting and I want to try to do this year with our vendors, is think of a, I don't know, like in Batman, you know, the bat signal that comes out. If there is a social media post, I would like to be able to email, like, say 20 people and say, hey, go to this post and say something positive. So that way, every negative post that you have, you just cover it with something positive. So that's kind of be one of my goals this year, is to maybe recruit vendors. $5. There's my purse right over there. So sorry, I've got a customer here too. Oh, actually, there's like a little money box underneath
That's
in the
okay.
retail area. But anyhow,
Well, thank you, Lori. Yes, absolutely. I know you both are very busy, so we appreciate your time. Now I'd kind of like to open it up. If there's any questions from those of you in the audience, feel free to type those in the chat or come off camera or onto camera. Turn camera on. Is that the right phrase? And join us. Let's see if I can change the layout here. Are there any questions that you guys have for Mary or Lori? Just a moment here. There we go. Now we can all see each other.
I kind of have a question. I think this would be more towards Lori because she says she like handpicks her vendors. I run a market that runs on Thursdays and Saturdays. So whenever I'm going out recruiting, it is sometimes hard to say like come to Thursday versus Saturday because I don't want to be like competing with markets they maybe already attend. Do you maybe have like any advice on recruiting vendors for Thursday versus Saturday, but they'd be getting information about both?
I would just I don't know, I guess befriend them or something and just say, hey, do you have a market you attend on Thursdays? And if they say no, you can tell them about your market and say, we also do a Saturday market, but I understand if you've already committed to another one, but we would sure love to have you on Thursday if you're looking for another market throughout the week.
Okay. Yeah, because that's been one of my like vendor challenges.
Mhm.
Them vendors who attend our market or attend other Saturday markets feeling like we're poaching, and I don't want to be a poacher.
Yeah.
I just want to
So are you,
expand our Thursday.
yeah. So are you a vendor already, or are you just a market manager?
I'm a market manager.
Okay, so I think, I don't know, I feel like maybe one advantage I might have is that I'm also a vendor. So I've also, the handpicked vendors, I've also developed a relationship with. So I don't know if you can already maybe possibly use some of your vendors that are already out there to connect with other vendors. Because I mean, I mean, at the El Dorado Farm and Art Market, I'm also a vendor. Most of the time, my husband and my kids run the booth while I manage the market, but sometimes I step into my booth. So the vendors see me in the role as, yes, I'm a market manager, but I'm also a vendor. They know I'm in Wichita. And so farmers markets become families. So I feel like I have a family as far as the Kansas grown vendors. I have a family as far as the Old Town Farm and Art Market vendor. So it's almost like I'm inviting my family to another market that I happen to be the manager at, but I'm also a vendor at that market as well.
Yeah. How would you encourage like vendors to invite other vendors? I think that's something that I try to encourage because I know how much that your experience, like me as a manager, um, they're going to say, yeah, you're just recruiting, but a vendor recruiting, they get that personal insight. So how would I encourage other vendors to do that for us?
I mean, I mean, as your market grows, they're going to get more sales. So it's a benefit and it's an incentive to them to, you know, maybe have more vendors that aren't really their competitors, but that are also their, you know, if your vendors are already enjoying what they have, you can express like, yeah, I'd like to see this market grow. Do you know of anybody else that would be a good fit for our market, without explicitly coming out and saying, hey, will you recruit for this?
Okay.
You maybe let them know that how much you enjoy the market you're managing, and that you're appreciative that they're there, would they recommend anybody else? And just kind of see, maybe they have some thoughts about the market and how they would like to see it grow. And you know, as they grow, then of course their sales are going to increase as well.
Yeah, okay. I like how you put that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We did have a question in the chat. And I will note Mary did have to slide off to another group. She's joining us from her phone though. So, but we still got Mary and Lori. Lori, I was going to ask if you could answer this question first. How do you fund your market manager? Is it funded by vendor fees or how else? Because I know yours is a little unique, I think.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into like details, but basically because of the vendor fees. So, you know, they don't have just a separate budget for me. The budget's depending on like how many vendors we do have there. So, that's how we are. And then they do have a little bit of a budget for their marketing. And so they handle more of that side of it. But again, social media, it's basically free. So if we can get our vendors to advertise for us, then, you know, we don't have to spend as much as well. And then they also get money from the vendor fees as well. So it's not just me taking all of it, but so vendor fees is really what funds the market. And we do have a small budget, but you know, we get the benefit of having a couple of playgrounds there, and you know, we don't have to provide, you know, a lot of additional, and we've had a lot of, you know, good success with just, you know, like even on the dog days, we just gave our dog vendors a free booth space. So whenever I recruited the Andover Dog Training Center, I'm like, hey, I got a free booth for you. And then we recruited Paws and Oz, which does pet spay and neutering, give you a free booth space. So also just, you know, kind of like a like kind, like you get to promote your business. We have a lot of people coming to the market, and that's a good incentive just to get people to come, like, hey, we got all these people coming. Do you want to advertise your business? And, you know, so we try to be creative and do it on a very tight, limited shoestring budget.
Mary, if you're able to, is your market funded any differently? There she is.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was a volunteer. I did not get paid for the first 3 years as market manager. And there were a lot of people that came and said, you have to get paid. And I said, well, you know, you can't pay with money you don't have. So this is the first year I am getting paid. It is a small fee, but the customers and vendors, they do like that. And the pay does come through donations and through my vendors' fees. That's how I get paid this year.
Okay. Thank you. There are some other questions out there.
If there isn't any other questions, it might be nice if you guys could share some activity or promotions that you have going on. If you share recipe cards or just things that really stick out at your market that could help others on here too. I know Lori talked about a lot about events that she has coming up, but if there's anything that you guys could share that would be helpful to others on here, please share. Everyone's being shy today. Erin Bishop, I think you're on. I don't know if you have anything that you might want to share after conversation. I know you work with a lot of farmers markets. Just after listening, if there was anything that you have to share, please feel free.
Hey, thanks, Sammy. I am not going to turn on my camera because I am not.
That's totally fine.
I want to say that I work with both Lori and Mary, and I've worked with Mary for a very long time. And I think any advice that she gives is going to be really helpful and great. And I am also learning that about Lori. El Dorado will be a Double Up Food Bucks location this year for the first time. So we're excited about that. Just to kind of bookend the conversation in of course, my area of expertise or my field of work. If your market does not offer SNAP, and I know a lot of folks on this call, their markets do, I recognize a lot of names. If your markets do not offer SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as formerly called food stamps, that's a really great program to bring in and increase your customer base and to increase community awareness of your farmers market. There is grant opportunities right now to get that service equipment for free for a year through MarketLink. And that website I'll put in the chat. It's marketlink.org. They have a Snappy BT equipment grant that will provide an application and a card reader for that. They will also help your market go through the process of applying for authorization to offer SNAP as a payment option. So those are federal dollars. There is a long application process, but MarketLink can walk through that application for you over the phone and essentially complete it for you with your help. So I think that's a really great resource that not everyone knows about. I will also put my email in the chat if you've got questions about Double Up Food Bucks or SNAP that I can help answer. And of course, Double Up Food Bucks is a program that matches SNAP at farmers markets, farm direct, and grocery stores to provide fresh produce at no cost for those customers.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but thank you.
All good.
Deborah, I saw you unmuted. Did you have a question?
Someone has their hand raised too.
I think Deborah might be frozen.
Yes. Okay, let's go to Claudia. I see you have a question.
No, I was going to share some experience. I've lost my voice.
Oh.
So please bear
Oh, no.
with me.
Okay.
But one of the events that we really like to do is we have a pretty prominent Hispanic community in Bonner Springs. So we like to do in September, do a Hispanic Heritage Festival. We get, face painters and a mariachi band and all sorts of really cool things. So that's a lot of fun. Let me look at my market calendar here. I'm also doing a new event this year called Plant Pick Plate, where basically it's a 3-part series where there's one at the beginning of the year, there's one in the middle, and there's one at the end. And what happens is the one at the beginning talks about growing food and food security and education and stuff like that. The middle of the year talks about preserving the harvest that you have made so far. And then the last event is going to be talking about seed saving and how you can save, what you've made for next year to do it all over again. So I am in Bonner, we're really close with the extension office, Wyandotte Extension Office. We work with Corey Creed a lot, and he helps us sort of put together some demonstrations and some programs, about your soil composition and about composting and about all sorts of really cool things. And they are also willing to send volunteers from their Master Gardener program to come down and do these demonstrations and do these educational sessions. So that's just some of the fun stuff that we can offer too.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have any fun activities they have coming up or something they do during their market they'd like to share?
Robin, I will add, and maybe someone talked about this and I missed it. I had to take a phone call in the middle. But I work with quite a few locations that do a program either called Power Produce or similar, where they provide kids opportunities to try new fresh fruits and vegetables. And then they earn tokens or vouchers to go spend on produce at the market. And I know Mary does something like that, so she probably did talk about that. In Manhattan and Cowley County both do a Power of Produce program as well.
Got to get those kids involved. I had never, honestly, I hadn't heard of the entrepreneurship piece that you both had. So I was excited to learn about that. And that's just such a fun way to get kids involved and teach them a lot about running a business. And a lot of people skills as well. So that is neat. We have any other questions at this time for our crew today?
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me? I don't know how to turn my video on, but
That's okay. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead,
okay.
Deborah.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I have a couple of things. We do a vendor basket giveaway one Saturday every month. We're open May through September. So that was the vendor's idea. And they have tickets that people can sign up at their booths. And each vendor contributes something to the basket, and then I add a few things to that. I get, uh, vegetable shaped notepads at Dollar Tree and things like that, that are maybe tea towels with farmers market on them. Anyway, so they come, and then we have the drawing at 11. They don't have to be there to win, but they do have to be able to come back and pick up their basket. That's been very popular, and we've done that for 4 or 5 years now. And then our Chamber of Commerce has a duck race in the park every year, and they sell little yellow rubber ducks. And so you can get a duck for $10 or a six quack for $50. I like that six quack. And then they fill the drainage ditch at the park with water and throw all those ducks in it and race those ducks, and people win. So we partner with the chamber, and a couple of weeks before the duck race, I bought little rubber ducks that are characters, that are the cutest things. They're zebras and all kinds of things. And we hide them. Our farmers market is around a little park area. We hide those ducks in the park. The kids come. We have prizes on the bottom of those ducks. Usually we give gift cards. Last year we were able to give a bicycle, a trampoline, and an electric skateboard away. The kids find the ducks, get their prize, and then they take the ducks they've collected across to where the chamber has their giant yellow blow up duck, and they're selling ducks, and they're entered in a drawing to win a duck for the duck race. So that's been very popular. If there's any event going on that you can partner with somewhere. That's all I've
Wow,
got.
thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Always amazes me the creativity everybody has when creating events and drawing customers in. So I appreciate the sharing those. Well, we're getting near the end of our time today. We do have a couple more minutes. If anybody has any thoughts, questions, or anything they'd like to chime in and say. I had a question and then I lost it. So, Lori, anything else that you'd like to, or Mary, before we close out?
No, feel free to share my contact information. Sometimes you think of questions immediately, afterwards. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions after this seminar, because I just think the more markets we have, the more successful, the more small businesses we're promoting. So I think it's all great if we can collaborate and work together. So whatever I can do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lori. Mary, anything else? I know you were about to head into another meeting, so we appreciate your time today.
I am. I just pulled in the parking lot, so I have just a few minutes before my next one. But so yeah, I would say the same thing. I'm grateful for all the farmers markets, all the even the programs that you guys are doing. I just want to say thank you to the Land of Kansas for what you guys do. I went to the farmers market manager conference in what was it, over Olathe in February. And I always try to go to those. I'm a conference market junkie. So I wish we had more farmers market manager get-togethers or whatever. So, but yeah, feel free to share my contact. I'm more than happy to help however I can and learn from others. I'm always learning. So I just think you're never too old to learn. So I want to keep on learning everything I can and make our market great along with our fabulous state. I'm not from Kansas, but I'm very happy to live in the state of Kansas.
What state are you from, Mary?
Well, I was born in Delaware. I was raised in Tennessee, moved to Rhode Island, and now I live in Kansas.
Kansas is your
Wow.
favorite,
Yes.
right?
I miss the salt water. I will tell you, I miss the salt water, but hey, I do very much enjoy Kansas. I do.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right. Sammy, was there anything else you had before we close out?
I was just going to add, she was talking about farmers market conferences and wishing that there were more. We definitely are in the works of hopefully having another one here soon. So just stay tuned. We have some things in the works here that we're working to help our farmers markets more. So we appreciate you all coming on, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Well-
before I do, close out, we do have one more of these coming up. It is next Tuesday, the 15th, also at noon, and that is purely networking. So come with your questions, come with your thoughts and ideas. We'll probably, depending on the size, get into a couple of breakout rooms, and we'll have some specific kind of topic areas or questions to lead the conversations. But otherwise, it's just a chance to bounce ideas and network. So and sign up for that one. On the same website, you would have probably signed up for this one at and put that in the chat here real quick. There we go. So other than that, let me thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for your time. Thank Lori and Mary for their expertise and ideas. And we wish you all a successful market season. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.